Yes, so this is what we woke up to today here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And so, snow day! Unfortunately, it's a Sunday, so this will probably all, or not all, but a lot of it will be melted by the time tomorrow rolls around. But as you can see, they really don't like to plow in this town. So, this is even a bus route, so, what can you do? But it is kind of an eerily beautiful day, and so I'm going to go and hopefully be able to finish off my game today because, well, we're not going to be doing much else. All right, just a little update here on the game after Germany and Japan have gone. So the Germans have bulked up Paris a bit and have obviously brought stuff into Reims and did the attack here. Were able to destroy the fleet and also landed guys in Scotland and Liverpool. So the Brits have some problems there. Obviously, that's to distract from the continent. But this did not work for the Germans. They lost everything except for these two fighters that they decided to retreat to Paris, for they lost them to some AA and a couple of Spitfires. So, poor rolling by the Germans. They brought plenty of stuff in there to kill. They lost all their subs. They did build 3 more, but yeah, that fleet's doing okay. Now, it's likely that they will have to relocate because the Germans do have a lot of stuff up here that can come and cause problems. And I misspoke. Maybe I confused some people, so I'm going to apologize. The Turkey question is solved by no Italian units in Africa, and UK has Greece. It has nothing to do with boats in the Mediterranean. I may have misspoke in my last video. So the British have exterminated all Italians in Africa, and the Italians can come back to Africa this round because they have a transport, but obviously UK will go before them. So if I were to say sacrifice a transport, just bring up a couple of guys into Greece and Corinth probably, just to snag an easy dollar, that would activate Turkey for the Brits. The Brits could then step in to Turkey and grab that. So that is a possible move by the British. Not sure if I want to do that quite yet, but the Italians, knowing that, might start to bulk up Greece as well. So it might be time to pull the trigger on that. But again, Britain does have troubles of its own over here. It's going to have to definitely build a bunch of units to get rid of the German threat. And the Germans still have 4 transports, and they definitely have stuff that they can cart over to continue to make landings in the United Kingdom. The Japanese, their big fleet here, has moved a little closer to the east, where my computer's yelling at me, to where my other Japanese fleet is. They were able to take back French Indochina, not without loss though. They lost 4 or 5 infantry, so that hurt a lot, and they've bulked up in here, lots of infantry, trying to hold on. And they were able to take back Sichuan and eradicate all the Chinese territories. Now, because of that, they get a +7 bonus each and every turn that they have that. So the Allies are going to want to do something about that. 7 it's a lot of scratch. The Japanese are also now in a position to threaten Calcutta from the west. So they'll be coming down into Kashmir next turn. It's only 5 units, and they're not heavy hitters. Pardon me, 4 units, and they're not heavy hitters. But they could cause a little bit of grief down there. But of course, this is hopefully the saving grace of the Allies in the Pacific, is the combined American and Anzac fleet, with a little bit of Dutch love in there as well. They can threaten a lot. In fact, they can come and land. I had to leave stuff behind in Shanghai because they can come and land, take Shanghai, destroy the factory, and there's just not much there to take care of any sort of a threat. And as you can see, there's quite a bit they can land. I think a grand total of 17 units or so can land. So that might be a possible way to disrupt Japan. Now the Japanese, of course, with the Carolines and the Philippines, have destroyed their naval bases, so they probably, it's not as an attractive a target to take as it would be to get into mainland China. But time will tell, and it'll really depend on how the UK does and what the UK does this round. We do need to protect here. It's not going to get any easier when this fleet comes over. The last thing I'll talk about quickly is we've got 12 more American units going to be landing over here and causing grief. So they just don't have an awful lot of offensive push. That's the problem. And the UK goes next, so I think we're going to have to spend every dime on probably just defending the sea zone. The Germans don't really have enough to cause a ton of grief if we can take out what's in Liverpool. But yeah, this is going to be difficult. The Canadians can bring over a couple. I'm doing the math here, and if the Germans build 4 more transports and a heap of men, that's going to be a sea lion. And there's not an awful lot the Allies can do about it here. And the British, well, we'll see. We'll see. But I think Turkey's probably going to have to go UK this turn, but I don't give a lot for their survivability with all this nastiness coming down, swinging through. But that'll give the Germans and the Italians something else to shoot at, which could buy some time for Cairo and Calcutta. All right, well, that's it for the update. We'll start playing the rest of round 8, I think. Yeah, here we go. All right, so here we are at the end of round 8, and all you can see is that the communists have died, but the Chinese are back, the KMT, and Italy is a little resurgent, and Anzac is very resurgent, up at 24. We're going to talk about them in a second. Britain's still doing well at 51, and then the Americans and Japanese are tied at 81 with the Germans at 90. Now, the Japanese were at 97. They've lost $16 in income here in the last little while. We're going to show you what happened, but we're going to start over on the Atlantic side. And here we go, folks. This is one of those moments where you just say, screw it, right? So the Americans are likely going to lose 6 transports here. Now, before you think that's a horrible thing, it was either lose those 6 and the fleet with it and all the British and Canadian boats at the same time, or just lose these. And I decided to just lose these because the Americans have come up here. We've got 5 destroyers, a cruiser, the loaded carrier. We've got 3 scrambles and a whole whack of transports shooting back at one, and you know they're going to get hits. So the Germans also, there's a destroyer in the way, so they'll have to leave a couple things behind to deal with that before they go try to deal with this. Meanwhile, America has decided to build up some muscle, and we're going to head over here, and we're going to make a fleet that's just too big for the Germans to deal with. It's just going to be too much, and then we're going to just start continuing our landings. And if you look here, we were able to land another 12 units, including 6 tanks, and we moved down some British units to bulk up a little bit here in Bordeaux. Now Normandy is gone. Normandy is going to be taken by the Germans, and that's just the way it is. But they can't take this turn. They just don't have the horses for it. Now, that's the plan with the Allies. So the game's turned a little bit here. We were able to kick the Germans out of Liverpool, but they still remain in Scotland, playing some wee golf up there. And the Germans, of course, can force another landing. Over here, we see the Italians bulked up a bit, and they got some guys in Greece, because who was there a minute ago but a Frenchman? Yes, the British came up with a transport, took Greece, which turned Turkey into pro-Allied. So they're pro-Allied, and we even sent a buddy over there, but it's not going to be long for this world. Kars is going to get taken by these forward elements of the Wehrmacht, but the British will be able to activate the remainder of Italy here, gain a coastal battleship and a destroyer and some much-needed aircraft. That won't stop this mess, but will absolutely cause a little bit of concern. Continuing to build some more units here in Cairo in case the Italians get a little uppity, and Italy did build another transport. So they are thinking of heading back to the Dark Continent. Over here, we showed you the Middle East a little bit. Here you can see the German Air Force is down in Baku, and not really sure what they're going to do down there. They're basically in a support role, but they're going to just try to absolutely overwhelm anything the British try to build. So it's going to be a bit of an inchworm going along, and by then it should be quite the cataclysmic battle in Cairo. Over here we have the Chinese are back at it, baby. Yes, the FEC decided to come up and they took Sichuan, only for the loss of 1 infantry, which is handy. And therefore, the Chinese could spend the $3 that they made the turn before. And this turn they made $8 because they got the 3 for Sichuan and 5 for the Burma Road. So they're back. We don't know for how long. Probably all this stuff will die on the Japanese turn. But what it's doing here is it's forcing the Japanese to keep taking the same territory over and over while Calcutta can continue to grow. All right, so that's how that's going. Now, Calcutta's only at $12 right now, and they're losing 2 of that to convoy, right? So that's not a lot of fun for them. All right. Over here, we have, well, lots and lots of neat stuff going on. We're going to start down here, the Money Islands. Oh, look. Anzac took the Money Islands. Anzac took the Money Islands. Anzac took the Money Islands. Yes, that's an $11 swing right there. So the Anzac are at 24, and the Japanese dropped 11 just from these 3 Money Islands. And now the Japanese have to decide, is this worth fighting over? Or do we want to go kick the Americans out of our backyard up in Okinawa? Yes, they've taken over the island for $2. Or not Okinawa, pardon me. Iwo Jima? No, this is Okinawa. That's Iwo Jima, yeah. Okinawa. I knew that. I know my geography. And they're also convoying here. The Anzac threw in a little convoy, so the Japanese will have to deal with that. Now, this is going to be the battle, and it has to happen. And I've run the numbers, and it doesn't look good for the Japanese. But they've got to do it. Because if they don't, well, this is going to cause 10 kinds of grief up and down the coast. And you can see Tokyo is wide open right now. So my next build will definitely be 10 infantry in Tokyo and a bunch of infantry in Fukuoka, so that if the Americans do try to land, it'll be a problem. Now the Americans are being convoyed, $5 there and $5 in the Atlantic, but that is all the damage they're doing in that case. So this is where we are at. French Indochina was taken back, as you saw. So the Burma Road will likely get taken this turn and taken to stay. I think that game is over. We'll see if the Chinese can hold on. If the Japanese can kick them out, all that money that they got, that $8, will all come to naught, as they'll have no place to put new units. Well, this is interesting. The Allies are very resurgent here. This will also be a very interesting moment for the Germans. They do have a lot of money, though. The Germans have over $100, so they're going to be building a lot of tanks, some good heavy tanks, and definitely some aircraft in order to at some point help deal with things. And don't be surprised if you see more submarines. Now the British are getting a bonus for having no subs in the Atlantic, so the Germans are going to have to get some of those U-boats out there, and hopefully they stay alive. All right, so the British, I believe, this last turn, let's see here, 50, 60, they have $72 to spend next turn. I think they save 5 or 6, but $72 for the UK. Now, they don't have a factory in Liverpool anymore, so they can only build 10 units there. They can build 3 units here, and then 1 each in Calcutta and Sydney. Sydney, by the way, just moved their subs up here and just built 1 more of these, hoping to head over and cause some more grief someplace. All right, well, that is turn 8. Turn 9 is coming. It should be very, very interesting to see what happens here as we creep closer to Cairo, creep closer to Paris, creep closer to Tokyo, folks. A lot of creeping going on. Oh, that kind of sounds bad. But we'll see if the dice are going to be with the Axis or the Allies.